The year was 1867. William Seward sat at his desk, the weight of a growing nation pressing against his shoulders. Before him lay a map of the Arctic, a vast expanse of white and blue that few dared to claim. He had already secured Alaska, but his eyes kept drifting further east, toward the jagged frozen coast of Greenland. To him, it was not just ice. It was a strategic anchor for the future of the United States. He dipped his pen and drafted a formal inquiry, his hands steady, his intent clear. He demanded to know the price of the island. He sent the dispatch across the Atlantic, confident that gold and influence would bridge the distance. Weeks turned into months. Seward checked his correspondence daily, expecting a negotiation. Instead, a single envelope arrived from Copenhagen. He broke the seal, expecting terms, but found only a firm, unyielding refusal. The Danish government did not even bother to debate the matter. The dream of an American Greenland had gone cold. The world fractured and reformed. By 1946, the map of the globe looked nothing like the one Seward had studied. The dust of the Second Global Conflict had barely settled, but the geopolitical landscape had shifted into a new, sharper focus. President Harry Truman sat in the Oval Office, his gaze fixed on the northern latitudes. The war had changed the calculus of power. It was no longer about territorial acquisition for the sake of prestige. It was about survival. During the fighting, American engineers had carved runways into the permafrost and erected hangars against the biting wind. These air bases were now scattered across the island, silent sentinels watching the northern approach to the continent. Truman reviewed the reports from his military advisors. They were unanimous. The island was a vital shield, a necessary bulwark. He needed to secure the island, not as a prize, but as a permanent, immovable anchor for global security. Truman did not hesitate. He authorized a staggering offer: $100 million in gold. It was a sum designed to be impossible to refuse, a mountain of bullion intended to settle the matter once and for all. In the corridors of the State Department, the mood shifted from strategic planning to quiet confidence. Staffers finalized the documentation, their pens scratching against paper, the air thick with the anticipation of a historic transaction. They believed the sheer weight of the wealth would break the deadlock. Truman watched the reports, convinced that the logic of the offer was unassailable. He imagined the deal finalized, the island secured, the northern flank locked behind American interests. The diplomatic cables were sent, carrying the weight of the gold across the Atlantic, landing in Copenhagen with the force of a final ultimatum. Washington waited. Hours stretched into days, and the silence from the Danish capital grew heavy. The expected positive reply never materialized. The response finally arrived, not as a negotiation, but as a firm, unyielding statement. The Danish foreign minister stood before the American delegation and delivered the blow. "Greenland is not for sale." The words landed with the weight of a gavel. The Americans were stunned. They had calculated the value, weighed the gold, and assumed the logic of the market would dictate the outcome. They were wrong. The refusal was absolute, stripping away the illusion that the island was merely a commodity to be traded. It was a declaration of national pride that transcended currency. In Washington, the news sent a tremor through the halls of power. This moment of rejection did not fade into history. It hardened into a precedent. Decades later, in 2019, the cycle repeated. The door remained locked, and the American dream of ownership shattered against the reality of a nation that refused to be bought. The map remains frozen in time. Greenland stands at the top of the world, a massive landmass that controls the northern approach to the continent. It is a gateway to the Arctic, rich in rare earth minerals and untapped resources that fuel modern economies. Every American inquiry is not merely about land. It is a push to secure a foothold in a region vital for global trade and defense. Yet, Denmark holds the keys. For over a century, they have kept the door locked. The Arctic ice continues to guard the island. The United States stares at the map, calculating the strategic necessity, but the geography remains unchanged. The island stays beyond reach. The deal was never made. The door remains shut. The Arctic ice stays silent.